Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Happy New Year's. Happy 2026. I finally made it back. You guys, I'm telling you, my 2026 has started off pretty rough, but I have to tell you, thank God I'm coming back on the right side. I was having myself a time. I tell you, I was having myself a time, but I'm feeling a lot better now. I'm glad to be back, and I'm so thankful that you guys will be tuning in. I see people that are in the chat. I see people that are have logged on and haven't come into the chat. Hopefully, more people will. I know it's going to take a minute for everybody to remember that. Um, she's back. I missed, I think, about 4 weeks now because 2 weeks before the holidays and 2 weeks after the holidays, which those weeks weren't planned. But like I said, I'm feeling a lot better now. I'm so glad that I'm able to be back. And again, I just want to say, um, Happy New Year's to everybody. I'll get into a little bit as we progress about what was going on and everything. And I'm still recovering. I'm not 100% recovering, so I'm glad and thankful for that. I'm feeling a whole lot better than I had been. So, yes, I'm seeing more and more people coming in. That is great. So, I want to say hi to Robin. And Robin, I'm hoping you're feeling better as well. I really hope so. And I hope you'll be able to join tomorrow night because I do plan on having the Zoom tomorrow night as well. And hi, Terry. How are you? That's my daughter. Hi, Jenny. How are you? And hi, Carol. Thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate it as usual. Every year, people at the beginning of the year tend to come up with a quote unquote New Year resolution. I stopped doing New Year's resolution years ago because I never stuck to them. However, I do try to do goals, and I really have not sat down and set up any specific goals for me this year, whether it be personal or whether it has anything to do with the embroidery side of what I do. But that I will be doing that, working on that, because like I said, I am just recovering. To be honest about it, I think this is maybe day 4 of me pretty much being on the right side of what was going on. So it is very new. Even though I did get a chance to go to work those 2.5 days last week, I did put that in. So I tried to go in the week before. Ooh, that was bad. That was really bad. I was basically sent home. It was like, girl, get out of here. You look a mess and you look like you feel a mess. So, and I did. So, anyway, hey, Val, how are you? Thank you for stopping by. Let's see what time it is. Okay, I'll go ahead and let you guys kind of in on what was going on with me. I didn't have the flu. I didn't have any COVID. I didn't have any of that kind of situation. I had a completely different issue that was so unexpected for me, and we're still in a mystery trying to figure out what happened. I developed an infection that put me in a state of severe pruritus. Pruritus is itching, itching, itching. I itched from my neck down to my thighs, front and back. And it was a constant itching. If anybody has experienced any type of itching at all, you know it's almost unbearable. I literally would be in tears. I literally felt like just cutting my skin off. It was just horrendous. I couldn't get into a doctor because I kind of took ill just before Christmas, about a week before Christmas, but it wasn't that bad. I just noticed a little rash. Wasn't that bad. But then the rash got worse and worse and worse. And then I was supposed to fly out to Florida. I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, my body and everything. And I was like, oh my goodness, I got to go to the hospital. So I called in, said I wasn't going in, and I went to the urgent care the day before I went to my to Florida on the 22nd. And they gave me some medicine and said, okay, use this cream. Hopefully it'll get better. You know, when you go to the urgent care, they're not going to do a whole lot. They think they know what it is and they give you something and send you on your way. So I'm thinking, okay, this is going to work and things get better. So I take the cream, hop on the plane, go to Florida. I spent the entire time I was there from the 23rd to the 1st of January. That's how long I was gone. And I was in misery the entire time. I did not have an opportunity to enjoy my son or my daughter in law or the trip. I ended up going to the urgent care while I was there. They gave me more medication. They gave me, no, I didn't even get an injection then. I got more medication. I got pills and creams this time. So by the time I got back home on the 1st, I believe it was the 2nd, I went to the emergency room. So I was like, somebody got to do something. And that day, I did get a shot of steroid. They said, hopefully, this will calm it down. Get into a dermatologist so they can check you out and see what's going on. And so I was able to get into the derm doctor the very next day. And they were able to give me some creams, some steroids, some more pills, and basically anti-itching pills that literally it works better than Benadryl, and it kind of knocks you out. And I ended up having to take all of that plus basically sleeping on ice packs because the ice nudging a little bit, and to the point where I was able to go to sleep. So I was spending most of my time zonked out because I'm constantly taking the medication to calm down, which zonks me out. So I am totally out of it, completely out of it. So I wasn't able to work. I wasn't able to get on Facebook, YouTube, come into my studio, none of that. I was just incapacitated for the entire time. And to be honest about it, it was about a month or a little bit longer that I endured this situation. And I'm beginning to get back to normal where the skin has died down, the rash has um, not gone completely away, but it's not itching as severely as it was. Still don't know 100% what caused it. I did notice the first rash basically at work one day. Didn't think much of it. Couldn't figure out why it broke out in a rash on my arm, and it was like few little patches of red bumps. Checked for shingle. It wasn't shingle. It's not measles, not chicken pox. It wasn't anything that was contagious. Nobody else had it but me. Uh, couldn't figure out. I stopped taking certain medications, stopped eating certain foods, just trying to figure out. I changed my laundry detergent that I could to figure out what is causing this severe pruritus that I have. I don't have what is it, psoriatic arthritis. They thought that at one point. That's not what it was. So again, we haven't pinpoint exactly what's going on, but I've always known that I had very sensitive skin, and maybe I have some type of autoimmune issue going on right now. But like I said, I'm on the road to recovery. Again, not 100% because I still get the itching, but nowhere near like it used to be, where I have to be honest about, I literally was in tears. It was just that bad. So I just wanted to catch you guys up on what was going on with me. I wasn't slacking. I was just in misery. I was in misery. I couldn't say anything or do anything with anybody. Trust me, I was like a zombie. I got in one place and I sat still because if I moved, if I got myself calmed down, the itching part calmed down, whereas you try to get your mind off of it. As long as you move, it seemed to I'm not gonna say go away, but it just wasn't on the forefront of my mind. But as soon as I started moving around, then the itching would start all over again. And I'm trying my best not to scratch. And sometimes it got to the point where you just wanted to dig all of your skin off. Because I'm telling you, woo, yeah, it was rough. It was rough. Hopefully that will never happen again. But again, got to figure out what caused it so it never happens again. And if it's some type of systemic situation, which I'm pretty sure it is, because we couldn't figure out anything externally that was causing it. So, you got all kinds of stuff that could be happening in your body, liver, kidneys, all kinds of stuff that could be acting up that will cause you to have these uh, flare ups, I guess, is the best word for it. It's almost like a symptom of something. So, still got to look and see what that is. But as long as everything is working so far now, I'm back and I feel a lot better and I'm ready to get started with 2026, doing some fun stuff and everything. So, and I do appreciate everybody that sent that emailed me, called me, texted me, put comments on my channel, all of that. You guys are so sweet. Love every one of you guys. And I do appreciate your thoughts and prayers because I definitely believe that they did work. Let me see who has hopped in while I was talking. Danielle, hi, how are you? And who else? It was somebody else that I saw. Pearl, Soul Pearl Creation. And I think I saw one other person that I had not spoken to. I think maybe that's it so far. But yeah, what I decided to do is, as I knew it was somebody else that I saw. I hope you're doing well, also, and Becky and Robin, you guys have been in my prayers as well with the issues that's going on with you guys too. And also hi to Creative Notion. Thank you for stopping by. And I'm glad to be back as well. And Pearl, you said you've been praying me because you could tell on my last video I wasn't feeling my best. You got that right. I looked hot best. I know that. But I wanted to let everybody know that I was, to keep up with everything because I don't like for people to look for me and don't see me, and I how that can be. It's like, what's going on? Where is she? What happened? And all of that kind of stuff. So I want to make sure that I did try to put something out. So the topic for tonight is stitch smarter and not longer. Now, I've always said my motto is kind of like work smarter, not harder. So it's basically the same concept. And what that means, you have to pay attention to what you're doing as far as getting started with your embroidery. And so we're going to talk about that. And if you've ever had a stitch or something that didn't come out perfectly, it looked fine on your screen, on your, whatever software that you use, you look at it. I don't know if you do the stitch simulator or not, but if you do, but then when you stitch it out, it's all kinds of stuff going on. The main thing that you have to keep in mind is not your software usually, and it's not your machine usually. It is pretty much user's error because there are certain things that we have to make sure that we do before we can produce a good product. And I've talked about this before, and I know it, and don't want it to sound like I'm hashing over the same thing. But I just wanted to start off the new year with a refresher on the things that we need to be paying attention to in order to make sure that we're going to get the stitch quality that we want to have. And the first thing is hooping. Now, I use 99% 90% of the time Mighty Hoops. And I'm not pushing Mighty Hoops for anybody because some people love them, some people don't, some people have them, some people don't, all of that. But regardless of what you use, you have to hoop your garment properly. If that's the first thing you have to do before you put it on your machine. You have to make sure you hoop it properly. And if you're hooping it properly, the first thing before that is your stabilizer. If you're not using the right stabilizer, it doesn't matter what you do, you're not going to have the right outcome. I have had products that items that I've put on recently and stitched out, and I could tell it's not stitched right. I hooped it correctly. I thought I put the correct stabilizer on it, but I ended up having to add stabilizer to it, which you can. And please remember, if you see something that is not working at that moment, don't keep stitching it the way it is, hoping it's gonna get better, because it ain't. Go ahead, stop the machine, cut out another piece of tearaway. You stick it up under your hoop that you already had on and see if that works. The first thing you need to do before you even do that, especially if it's a new design that you've never stitched out before, is do a test stitch. It is cheaper to stitch out a test stitch using some type of blank that's similar to your end product. Doesn't have to be a if you got t-shirts or hoodies or towels or something that you've messed up and you've kept them as test material, test that out, see how it's going to stitch to make sure that you're going to put the proper amount of stabilizer on there. I had a project that I did, and I was stitching. I was like, these t-shirts is a little different than what I'm used to, even though they said Gildan's, which is what I always used, but I didn't buy it from the same place. So it made me kind of suspicious. And I hooped it the way I normally hoop, stabilized it with no-show mesh, which I use most of the time for t-shirts because I like for it to be soft and pliable, and it just wasn't stitching properly. So I stopped it. I put some cutaway underneath it, and I stitched more, and I noticed it was a little bit better, but it wasn't perfect. So I said, okay, I know what I'm going to do. Not only did I add the stabilizer to the bottom, the extra stabilizer, I put some Solvay, some water-soluble stabilizer on top. So I got basically 3 layers of stabilizers on this particular t-shirt. And lo and behold, it stitched out perfectly. And the reason for that is that the material was different than what I was used to. It wasn't of the same quality. So when you run across something like that, you have to know that you can't just keep doing it the way, like all the other t-shirts that I had been doing. I knew how to stabilize it. This particular product was a little different. So you got to pay attention to those things, because if you don't, you can ruin something. And what I normally do, especially if I'm doing a project to sell or gift, I will get an extra blank if I don't have something all the way already around. I would get an extra blank, and that's my mess up blank or my trial blank or my test blank or whatever you want to call it. I would always get at least one, sometimes 2 extra, just to make sure that I have the opportunity to test stitch it out with that particular material. And I'm glad that I was able to do that, because the rest of the products that I did, and I had several more t-shirts to do in that same batch that I had purchased. And I knew going forward how I had to hoop it. I hooped it with my no-show mesh and a layer, one sheet of tearaway, because I didn't want that thickness so I could pull it off. And then I covered it with a water soluble, and I made sure I had a fresh needle. That's the other thing. You have to have the right needle. And the right thread. I always use Floriani, so I'm pretty good on that. And then also, a lot of people don't think about it. The speed. It's not always great to have your machine going at the fast speed. A lot of we're wanting to get done, and that's usually when we make mistakes. We speed things up. I'm guilty of it too. Sometimes I'll say, okay, it's stitching at 600. I think I can pump it up to 8 and see what's going to happen. Sometimes that's fine, and sometimes that is not fine. It just depends on what it is that you're stitching. If you're doing a lot of satin stitching, that may not be, especially if they're long satin, thing to do. If you're doing a lot of fill, that may not be the best thing to do because your machine is moving a lot, and it's a machine. It has the opportunity of making mistakes, skipping, and everything like that. Especially if there's a piece of lint or piece of thread or a dull needle or a point that may have a tip that's uh, kind of dull on it. Um, if the thread is maybe an older thread and it's shredding, it's so many things that can happen that you don't get a chance to catch it if you got your machine running 1,000 miles an hour. You're not going to catch it. If you slow it down and pay attention, oftentimes you're going to recognize the sound. Learn the sounds of your machine. Pay attention to that. Your machine will tell you when it is having an issue. And also you can look at the stitches and see, are your thread. If your thread starts breaking or shredding, or you're constantly having skip stitches, or you're having loops, or you're having any kind of distortion in your stitches, not stitching perfectly even, absolutely beautiful, then that means there is something going on either with the thread, the needle, or the bobbin. So those are the three places that you need to check. Check your bobbin, the throat plate, to make sure it's clean under there. Make sure that there's no lint, no thread, nothing. Make sure that the bobbin is in there correctly. Believe it or not, this can happen. I buy pre-wound magnetic thread. Been doing it since the beginning. When a technician told me it was the best thing to use to make sure the tension is always good on the bobbin, and from that point on, I have always used magnetic Field Tech bobbin. I always buy boxes of the black, and I even have been able to buy some of the colored ones as well that I use when I'm doing freestanding lace and stuff like that. So I have the magnetic bobbins. I make sure I check my bobbin case, and I take the little brush and I brush it out. Every once in a while, I would use a business card and just kind of run it through. We've talked about that. Just slip it in the little clip area. Make sure there's no thread caught in there. Rarely do I adjust the tension on my bobbin case. I've not run across a situation where I have needed to do that. And when I had a technician come out and check my machine, he pretty much suggested that that is something that you rarely have to do. Not to say that you can't or don't have to do it, but he said it's a rare occasion that you'll have to do it if your bobbin case is in good condition. Now, that's the thing. It can get dented as well. So you have to check your bobbin case to make sure that it's okay. If you have a commercial machine and you have a bobbin case that has the little pigtail on it, make sure when you're putting your thread in that you wind that thread around that pigtail. That helps with the tension. Those are the machines like the Nakomas and different commercial machines. They usually use the bobbin with the pigtail. It was also recommended to me to, because I had some generic bobbin cases that I bought. because I thought that I was having some tension issues, not knowing it was my issue. And the technician told me, get rid of those, don't use it. You got a brother machine, use your brother bobbin case. So I always use the bobbin case that is made specifically for my machine. And so far, since that time, I've not had any more issues with my bobbin. As long as I keep that area clean, keep the throat plate down there clean, you'll be surprised how a little bitty, tiny, barely able to see piece of thread can get down in that area where the cutting is, and it can just throw your whole machine off. You'll start getting bird nests, you'll get skip stitches, you'll get loops, you'll get thread breaks, you'll get all kinds of craziness just because you got one little bitty piece of thread or lint or something stuck down in the wrong spot. So that's why it's extremely important to make sure that every time you turn that machine on, not only do you have to oil the bobbin, you need to brush that area out. Now, I'm not saying you got to take the whole throat plate off every time you do it. That needs to be done, I think, after every big project. If you've stitched a lot of stuff that day, you know it's accumulated dust. It's accumulated lint. It's probably better to take the time to take it off, brush it out, screw it back on, than to risk it messing up. Also, the needle. That's always a big thing that people are kind of leery about, and the question has always been, how often do you change your needle? And a lot of people don't change their needle until the needle breaks. That is not the right way to do it. It is more economical to buy up a bunch of needles, catch them on sale. I was able the other before the holiday caught needles on sale. Um, I want to say it was sewing, what is it, sewing online. I can't, sewing parts online. I think that's what it was. Can't remember for sure. But anyway, wherever it was, I caught a bunch of them. I caught them on sale. So I bought a bunch of sharps, a bunch of ballpoints. I bought them in different sizes. I bought sharps, ballpoints. I bought 7511s. I bought 9014s. Also bought 65 nines. And I think I bought one or two packs of metallic and a couple of packs of leather. I buy needles for the projects that I'm going to do. I put magnetic needles in my machine when I'm doing magnetic thread. Now, keep in mind, a magnetic needle basically magnetic, you buy it and everything, but usually it's a 9014. So if you don't have a package that says magnetic, no, I'm sorry, I keep saying magnetic, metallic. I'm sorry, metallic. If you don't have a pack that says metallic, then the 9014 will do the same thing. Metallic needles, leather. Leather needles will work with faux leather and vinyl. I use that. I even have jean needles. I have jersey. I have anti-glue. You say, Shirley, why you got all these different needles? Because the different projects that I have, you need to make sure that you're using the correct needles. Now, you don't need to buy a whole bunch of those because you don't use them that often. I use 7511 90% of my time. 7511 is the standard. I don't buy a lot of universal needles. I was looking up stuff today, and it pretty much says that universal needles is kind of mediocre, and that is kind of like a jack of all trade, master of none. And that's basically not, there is no such thing as a, a jack of all trade needle. They're going to sell it to you, you're going to buy it, but getting a needle, a specialty needle, is a safer thing to do. And if you only used it for one project, if you used it and made one item, save the needle. The needle probably isn't dull. So figure out an organizational system where you're not going to just be wasting your needles. You're going to only discard them when they're dull. So if you only use, like if I use my if I use my 65-9 on one project, if I had to stitch out a logo that had um, some small writing on. So I put my 65-9 in my needle and a 60 weight thread. I'm just going to use it for that. When I get ready, when I'm done, I'm taking that needle out and I'm going to put that needle in a special place. And what I normally do, I have an empty envelope that I keep a needle envelope, the 65-9 envelope, and I stick it back in there. I put all the used one in one envelope so I don't mix it up with my brand new ones. And I just use those until I figure I've used them enough to the point where they can be discarded. I'm definitely going to use it more than once. I'm going to use it more than twice. And depending upon how much small lettering I'm doing, and I don't do a lot of small lettering, so I don't have to use it that much. And I always make sure that I keep at least some black 60 weight, which is the same thing as bobbin thread, some white 60 weight, and I do have some other color 60 weights, which Madeira is the only company that I am aware of that can buy a 60 weight and a 40 weight color that normally matches, which is great. So I have some yellow, some blue, some green. I just have some of the basic colors where I have 60 weight and 40 weight. Uh-uh. Um, I'm back. It went out. I got a message saying I had lost my internet. Don't know why that happened. So I guess I disappeared off the face of the earth. Hopefully, you guys can still see me. Somebody type a comment in there saying that you can see me if you can, or hear me, or whatever, because I see myself. I think everything is okay, but we did have just a little slight glitch, and I hope that it's not messed up on your end, because sometimes I think it's okay on my end when on your end when it's okay on my end. So um, what I looked up today, and wanted to make sure that I mentioned. I want to check all my notes and everything. Talked about the needle, talked about the speed, talked about stabilizer. Yeah. Okay. Now, what do you think is some of the things that slow you? Because we're talking about stitching smarter, not longer, and how we can get through our products or our projects or whatever without having to stop and correct and fix things. That's pretty much the essence of what I'm trying to talk about. And I thought about this topic because during the holiday time, usually, which just passed, usually most of us are rushing around trying to get our Christmas gifts, trying to get our Christmas sales that we're doing, putting up new products if we have some type of Etsy shop or Shopify or something. And oftentimes we're kind of in a rush. I have to be honest, I did that rushing situation because stuff was just going on, and I wanted to get the gifts out in time enough to be mailed so they would receive them before Christmas. And what happens when you rush? You screw up. And I didn't even know I had, thank goodness, there were gifts and not something I was selling. But I put together my package, got it shipped out and sent, and found out that I had misspelled a couple of names. And don't even tell me how that happened. Um, because I could have sworn I checked everything. And it was a complete surprise to me when I was informed that I had misspelled a couple of names, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, how did that happen?" And I realized it was because I was rushing. I was trying to get stuff done to get it in the mail. And I was rushing, rushing, rushing because actually it was the 15th, and they said if you get your mail out by the 15th of December, then it's kind of guaranteed to get there on time and all of that. And I honestly didn't even get it out until the 16th because I ended up messing something up again when you're rushing, and um, you don't pay attention. So it's not good to do that. What we need to do is plan ahead. Make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a position to rush, even if we have a business. It is better to tell them that it's going to take a few days longer than what you really believe is going to take, instead of giving your customer false or misleading delivery dates, because things do happen. It's better to tell them it's going to take a week and you get it done in 3 days versus telling them it's going to be done in 3 days and it takes you a week. So it's better to do it the opposite way. Always try to pad your delivery time so you won't look like that you're running behind, because you can. It's invariable, something is going to happen. You're either not going to get your blanks on time, you're going to run out of thread, you got to run and get some, you run out of box, you got to run and get some, the machine acts up, the needles break, uh, something happens in lighting so you can't get back into your studio. All can happen. Then we put ourselves in a crunch and we end up, and that's pretty much what happened to me. And I know that's the reason why I made that mistake. It was several things that I wanted to get specified period of time, and I was rushing, 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 trying to get it done, and I did, make a mistake. So how do we overcome that? We plan our time. Also, if you're doing multiple things, I recommend have two hoops of every size that you use consistently, including if you're using mighty hoops. Now, I'm going to have to take my own advice. The only mighty hoop that I have two of is my 5 by 5. And the reason for that is because I was doing a lot of left chest logos at one time. Not as much now as I used to, but I do find myself doing projects that require me to use that hoop. And it is a lifesaver. I promise you, to be able to hoop while one is stitching, take that off, put this one on, and re-hoop. If you have that, you can do multiple hooping, and that's going to save you time. And believe it or not, it's going to cut down on your mistakes because it does save you time. And time is money. the less time you spend hooping, redoing something, fixing something, trying to figure out what's wrong, the less time you spend doing that, the more time that you can spend on the actual project, the quicker you will get done. Um, I did a repeat of the Christmas skirt that we did a while back, and I learned a lot from the first time. So I knew coming up for the new um, skirt that I was doing that I needed to do the um, the assembly line, pretty much is how what I called it. How I cut out all of my stabilizer. So I had all 45 pieces. I even had like 48, 49 pieces of stabilizer cut out. I cut out all of the pieces of fabric that you needed to hoop. I had all of that cut out. I just had an assembly line. I set up everything that I needed. So when I got ready to start stitching, all I had to do, I had all of my batting cut out. I didn't do anything with the embroidery machine until I had all of my material set up and ready to go. Then I looked at my thread. I set up the thread in the order in which I was going to use it, especially when I was doing those appliques where you're using 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 different colors sometimes. I had it all listed, and I also took the time to, because I only have 10 needles. But if I need to change my thread 20 times, and trust and believe me, that project requires that, then I needed to know when I need to switch my thread out, what all I can stitch before I have to change a color, and what number that color was going to go on. So, and hopefully you guys understand, those of you that have the 10 needle machine. So when I got ready to switch my set, I knew exactly where it was going to go, and it was already programmed into the machine. So all I had to do was change the thread, bam, push the button. Didn't have to stop and do anything. That helped me so much. It was so much better. I got all of my little pieces of applique stuff. I cut all that stuff out, put my heating bond on it, everything. So all I had to do was reach and get it, reach and get it. It's just like people that quilt. If you ever did quilting, I'm sure you do it like that as well. You got all your pieces and stuff cut out, and all you got to do is get on the machine and just start putting them together. Just stitch, stitch, stitch. So you save time. It's the exact same concept. That saves you so much time, especially when you're specifically when you're doing appliques and you're doing a lot of appliques, it will save you some time. And if you're doing a lot of thread changing, if you're doing a lot of thread changing and you're using a single needle machine, I think I don't want to say it's a little bit easier because you have to change every time you're constantly changing, but you line your thread up in the order in which you're going to use it, so you know exactly what the next color is going to be. You're not hunting for it. You don't have it scattered all over the place on your desk or whatever. At least I don't. I have them in order. So all I have to do is pick up the next one, the next one, the next one. And if I got to use it again, then I rotate it and put it back in the order where I know it's going to show up again, because I've written out a list. That's what helps me to stay organized when I'm using a lot of different colors of thread. So hopefully that's a little tip for those that may be doing that or maybe new and really haven't done that or anything like that. Um, some of the time wasters in machine embroidery: over hooping instead of stabilizing correctly, pulling your fabric. When you hoop it, if you anything, it should be the stabilizer, not the fabric that you just hooped, because that's how you end up getting puckering and distortion. Once that fabric, that shirt, that hoodie, that towel, that purse, whatever it is whatever you got hooped, once it is hooped, you should not be adjusting it. If you need to adjust anything, let it be your stabilizer. Now, if you're using a mighty hoop, then you don't run across the issue of it being too tight or too loose like you will when you're using the regular standard hoops, the plastic ones. And the reason I'm saying that, when you're using the plastic hoops, you have to screw it. And sometimes we screw them too tight, or we don't screw them tight enough. And I do remember being told to put clamps on it, put pins in your fabric so it won't shift, all kinds of little tricks, double-sided tape on your hoops, everything under the sun to try to keep the everything stable where it doesn't move around and everything with those plastic hoops. That's why I am so thankful and so glad that I've been using magnetic hoops, and also they are making more and more magnetic hoops for single needle flatbed machine, because I promise you, if you've never used a magnetic hoop before, whether it is on your multi-needle or your single needle, you cannot appreciate how much better it makes your embroidery and how much time it saves. Because once it is hooped, it is pretty much hooped taut and the way it needs to be. And if it isn't, you'll see it. It's before you put it on your machine. So you can take it apart, lay it out, and hoop it again. I mean, I've had to do that. I've hooped it and it's crooked, or it's something didn't line up right, especially if I'm not using my hooping station. And then you have to take it loose and hoop it again. That's the beauty of using a hooping station. But I know everybody doesn't have one or two or three like I do, the different sizes and stuff. But it's well worth it for me because it does save time. And I'm not trying to convince everybody to go out and get the hooping station and the mighty hoops and the dime hoops and the brother magnetic hoops and all that kind of stuff, because they're out there and they're available. But I'm just letting you know there's a significant difference between using magnetic hoops for your projects versus using the regular plastic hoops that come with your machine. They they come with your machine, so you're supposed to use them. But I have to tell you, you do go through a lot of adjusting, measuring, all of those kinds of things that you don't necessarily have to do when you're doing your magnetic hoops. Another thing that we tend to do that are time wasters, and done it before several times, is leaving your stitch speed on a default speed. Now, my 10 needle machine will go up to 1,000 stitches per minute. I don't remember what the SC19, I think, is 800 stitches per minute. And I think I've put my machine at 1,000 stitches per minute maybe once or twice. The highest that I've actually stitched a prolonged period of time has been 800. And I don't like it going that fast. And I know people that are using it as a commercial machine have gotten used to it, and they'll crank it up to that 1,000 stitches per minute and fly with it. The vibration just drives me crazy. I don't like it. I don't understand how they're able to do it. And I don't think that is a good, well, this is just me. I don't think. So I don't do it. Not telling anybody else not to. But what I am telling you to do is don't leave your machine on a default speed, if especially if your default is 400. Because the only time I put my machine down to 400 is when I'm doing metallic thread, freestanding lace, or delicate fabrics. Those are the only time I put my machine down at the lowest speed. My and sometimes I'll have it at the lowest speed because I'm doing that, and then I forget to speed it up, and then I realize, oh my goodness, look at all this time I wasted because I forgot to move the speed up. So keep in mind, you can stitch faster if you need to, but just pay attention to your speed and your machine, see how it's operating and how well it's stitching, because I do know for myself, there are times when my machine quality of stitching isn't as good at the higher speed than it is at the mid speed. Not the lowest speed, but the mid speed. And the mid speed for me is anywhere from 6 to 800. Now that's where I am the most comfortable. 6 to 800 stitches per minute on my 10 needle machine. I'm very comfortable with that. And that's usually where I put my stitches at, and that works fine for me. There are times when it's going to take a long time to stitch something out because unfortunately I'm one of these people that love designs that are stitch heavy and dense and multicolors and all of that kind of stuff. So I know a lot of times I'm, you know, 40 to 50 to 60 minutes is nothing unusual for me for one design. It can get a little daunting, but that when I can do something in 10 minutes, 15, 30 minutes, I'm happy. I am really happy. Um, Also, it says ignoring your presets and setting. Never visit your, if you never visit your tension, then you could be making a mistake. Now, for me, I rarely adjust my tension. Rarely. Do I check it to see if it needs to be tweaked just a little bit? But I'm never looking at, I'm never doing anything extensive. I pull my thread and see what it looks like. Now, there's all kinds of ways to check the tension, some kind of apparatus and stuff that you can use to check your tension and stuff. The best way to check your tension is to do the tension test, stitch out, and most machines have that built into their design. If you get designs with your machine, there should be one of the designs that come with your machine, which is a tension test. And you can run that tension test and it will check every needle and it will show you how it is stitching out. And you need to have 1/3 of your bobbin. I hope I got this correct. 1/3 of your bobbin thread and 2/3 of the top, or vice versa. Vice versa. Let me see. Do I have my stitch? Let me see. Hold on. I don't know. Let me see. Hmm. I put my glasses on. Okay, it is 1/3 bobbin, 2/3 top. That is what's a good stitch out. 1/3 bobbin, 2/3 top, and you can look at your guide here, and it will show you. You can look at the back. That's what you look at. The back will tell you if it is correct. And this was done when I got my machine service and everything, and they always run a tension test, and they'll check all your needles and make sure that it is stitching the way it's supposed to stitch. So that's how you check to see if your tension is correct. Now, when you run your tension test, and I suggest that you do it often, especially if you use your machine a lot, do it often. And especially if you're seeing some kind of wonky, check your tension and then adjust accordingly. And when I say accordingly, be very careful and very deliberate with your turning. Don't make big jump. The machine vibrates and things do change, and it may be a time when you have to do some adjusting. For me, I rarely do any adjusting of my tension on my machine, and like I said, it is so minute, whatever it is. I do check to make sure it is threaded correctly. That part. And then, of course, I check my needle and I check my bobbin and I check my bobbin, the needle plate and all of that. Because if I'm running into any type of stitching issue, that's usually where the issue is. Rarely is it tension with the machine that I have. Every machine is not the same. I've been watching some other um, content creators that have different machines. And I've always said that I love a Melco. That was the machine I wanted it was the two machines top on my list, and it was the Brother 1055X, which I have, and it was the Melco, which I didn't get, and I'm kind of glad I didn't because it would have been the EMX16 or whatever that thing is, and they got the newest one out, the Sun. And I tell you, that is my dream machine. Every time I see somebody use that machine, I'm just so envious because oh my goodness, that is a dream machine, especially for a business, a commercial, or whatever. Because I was looking at Angela Jasmina the other day, and she was explaining all of the machines that she has, and their price points, and the pros and the cons, and what have you. And when she got to the summit, she said that was her best machine. If she could, she would have all of them to be the summit. And I had already seen an overview of that machine before, and when she went over it, it just completely. And she doesn't tell you everything about the machine. I found that out later. But what she does tell you, it is so easy to use, and it does so many things to keep you making sure that you have excellent stitch out. But what I found out looking at other people, you can adjust the pressure foot um, on your machine. I can't adjust the pressure, and I think it has something to do with their specific AccuFeed thing that they have because they don't have tensions. Melcos don't have individual tensions. They have this AccuFeed that is pretty much governed by the computer, and it can recognize the thickness of your fabric. And with the first few stitches, it'll recognize the thickness of the fabric, and it will automatically adjust the pressure. Um, the newest machine does. The older machine, I noticed there was this girl that was changing the pressure basically based upon what she was stitching and stuff, which I thought was interesting. The Brother 1055X does not have that feature. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I've not noticed an issue because I've stitched denim, faux leather. I haven't done sequins yet. Um, Yarn. So I've done multiple different fabrics and textiles with the machine without the ability to adjust. Now, if I remember correctly, there is a um, function in the machine, because we have this wonderful software where it does a whole lot of things where it will look at the thickness of your material. I just thought about that. So I guess if I was to use that function, it probably will look or not the pressure foot needs to be. I need to look that up because I never thought about that before. I knew that that function was in there. I never used it before, never thought about it, never heard anybody else use it. But once I watched this one particular person that I've been following that does have a mail code, she has the 16, the one before the summit, the one after the Bravo, but before the summit. Um, she adjusts her pressure foot based upon the type of material that she's using. And I thought that was pretty interesting because, like I said, I've never done that with my machine. Didn't know that that was something that needed to be done. But now that I think about it and remember seeing a function in my machine on one of the screens where you can measure the thickness of your fabric. So that's something I'm going to check out. So if anyone here has noticed that, used it, or what have you, um, let me know how that worked out for you, because that's something um, I didn't think about. Another thing is now they are talking about chasing perfection instead of profitability. Now I have a little um, issue with the way this is presented, because they're saying, and when I say they, I'm looking at the research that I did where it says professional does not necessarily equal perfection. Professional equals consistency and sellability. And I guess where they're coming from is there are times, and I know for a fact because I'm so guilty of it, that we can find one small, minute issue because we know what we're looking for, and we'll trash that whole project because we said it's not sellable or wearable or ready to be gifted or what have you, and nobody notices it but you. And the reason why we notice it because we know what we're doing and we know what it's supposed to look like and we know what perfection is. Not one stitch, not one loop loose, not one, skip. No, all of the jump stitch cut and everything. I had to get myself ready for this jump stitch situation because I hate them. But there are some that you literally cannot cut. Oh my goodness, you will be digging around for days trying to cut that little bitty skinny one piece of thread between the letters. And I realized it's not that serious. It's really not that serious. But for me, it is because I know it's a jump stitch. My customer, my friends, family, relatives, whoever gets it does not pay it any attention. Why? Because when they buy stuff out the store, they get stuff that look even worse than that. Trust and believe me. Go to any store, Target, Walmart, Kohl's, Macy, any place that you go to and you can find something that has been embroidered, look at it. Just look at it. And I'm willing to bet you, if you look at enough of them, you are definitely going to find some problems. Something that you would say, oh my goodness, they selling this? Because I've done it. I have done it. Why? Because we know what our perfection is. But they're saying that consistent and sellable is more important than perfection. And I agree with that to a degree. Now, I'm not saying send some sloppy mess out there. You know what's good and what's not good. But if you got one little bitty loop on there or one little thread is not quite in the right spot, there are ways to adjust that. There are ways to fix it. You, I don't know if anybody has ever done it, but I have. I've stitched something out and I looked at it and I saw a few skip stitches and stuff. Because always check your work before you unhoop it. I check mine before I pull it off my machine. And believe me, sister, I will run that back through. Because you can do that. You can run it back through if you haven't unhooped it and little hoop that got missed, or you had ran out of bobbin and you replace your bobbin, but you forgot to move your stitches back several stitches to catch up. You need to do a little overlap so you can catch up so you don't have any skips. You forget to do that, then when you end product, you could tell, oh crap, that's where I ran out of bobbin, because I can see it's not consistent with the rest of the stitches. You can always run that back over. Just maneuver your stitches back. And you can do that looking at your screen on the 10 needle. Now, I can't tell you how everybody else's machine is, but I'm pretty sure most of everybody's machine has some kind of mechanism where you can move your stitches back so many stitches you can catch up and go over. Or even if you have to start from ground zero and stitch on top of the whole thing over just to cover up what little skips or whatever that's there, so you're going to have a perfect stitch and no missed stitches or whatever. You can do that and not waste that item that you just hooped, and you're going to save time and money, because you don't have to go through the whole process of cutting out more stabilizers, rehooping and putting it on, all of that kind of stuff. You don't have to do that. So keep that in mind. There are ways to fix your mistake. I have fixed so many mistakes before where something didn't, a loop is here, or something happened, or just there are things that occur that keeps things from being absolutely perfect, but you can fix them. Especially, I'm thankful for the way that I can operate the 10 needle that I have. It is a lot. The other thing that I'm very, 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 very guilty of, and I'm going to do a project with you guys on this um, soon. Not going to do it in the next week or two, but it will be soon. And um, talking about design overload, buying designs faster than you can stitch them. I have so many designs. I even bought some today. I bought some fonts today, but I have so many designs and fonts. I will never, ever, probably ever stitch out all of them. Some of them I have totally forgotten that I bought over the past 5 years plus that I've been embroidering. I can't even begin to count. I don't even know how many designs I've purchased, and a lot of money. And we continue to do that. Why? Because we go online, we see something that's cute. And in our mind, oh, that would be so cute. Oh, that's so cute. I got to have it. That's so cute. But are we going to ever use it? Are we going to ever stitch anything out? When my great grandbaby was about to be born, I was having the great granny Mac attack, I guess, and every little baby design I saw was just so precious. I could just see making some, putting this design on the onesie and putting this design on the bib and putting this design on the blanket and the pillow and the quilt and the this and the that. That I and now I got all that stuff, and what I'm gonna do with it? She ain't no baby no more. What and I there was absolutely no way. I used a lot of them, but because I made stuff for her, true enough. But there's absolutely no way. I even bought a lot of juvenile baby material, and I go through my material looking for through my stash, looking for fabric to do some of my grown folks project. And I run across all this juvenile stuff. And I was like, why? Why did I buy? It's because it was cute. That's why. And the thought process was, okay, this would be cute, making that, making this, making that, making this. And why? And I know we do that. And I'm a Christmas fanatic. I did a lot better this year. But I remember one Christmas, I just went stark raving crazy. I bought so many Christmas designs, and knowing full well I was not going to ever be able to make them. And even if I did, what make them and do what with them? I wasn't even trying to sell anything, online or anything like that at the time. I just thought they were cute because I love Christmas, and any and everything I see that's Christmas to me is basically cute. So what do? We end up with design overload. We end up with tons and tons and tons of designs that we will never ever use. We need to stop. We need to stop. I'm talking to the woman in the mirror as well. We need to stop because it's money being wasted, it's time being wasted, and it's, you know, USB ports and what have you being wasted where we buy them and we never use them. We even forget we have them. And if you're like me, I'm not very organized with my design, so I can't find them. And then I end up downloading again. So now I have multiple copies of them. So what I was saying that I'm going to work on a project with all of you later on. I am going to this year, 2026, get all of my embroidery designs organized. I'm going to come up with an organized system that's going to work for me where I can organize my designs, be able to find them, and utilize what I have because I know for a fact I probably have every design I ever need going from this day going forward for basically any project that I could even begin to think of, even if I could find if I can find it. And then when you're using your designs, you kind of forget that you have stuff. You see more stuff and you forget that you have stuff. And so it's like, wow, you buy it again if you're on Etsy because Etsy doesn't tell you already had it. Or if you're lucky and you go places that will tell you that you've already purchased it, that is so good because I have pulled up stuff to buy and it tells me you've already purchased it. And I was like, thank you for letting me know. So now I get smart when I'm thinking about a project or something, I will go into my download of my different places that I buy most of my designs from, like Design by Juju and Embroidery Library, Urban Thread. Who else will tell you? Some Sweet Pea. I will go look and see if it's in there. And I said, okay, I need a flower. I need a rose. I need a peony. I need a goldfish, a chick, or whatever the heck I'm looking for, or whatever. And I will go look because I'll say, I know I bought something similar to that. I'll go look in there because if I can't find it in my on my computer, because I'll go that drives me crazy because I'm so unorganized with that, and I'll look for it to make sure I haven't purchased it before I'll go ahead and purchase it. But I've gotten a lot better. I see people have hopped in that I haven't spoken to, so let me notice these people I don't want. I think I have. Hi, Marina. You are in here. Kingsbury Craft. And okay, you guys say you can see and hear me. Uh, Carol was asking, does anybody use the Mighty Hoop backing holders to hold their stabilizers? Yes, I do. I have one for all of my, I have one, well, I have three sizes, four sizes that I use. Uh, and I have, it's only two of them the backing for. The one that I just bought, the sleeve, uh, I think it's a four and a half, four and a quarter by 13 or something like that. I can't remember what it is because I bought it off. I only used it once over the holiday. And then I have one other one that I don't remember what the size is. I don't use it that much. And that's one of the reasons why I haven't bought the backing. But my 8 by 9, my 8 by 13, and my 5 by 5, I'm looking at them. That's why I was looking up. I have backings for them and I love them because that's the best way to hoop your product if you're not using a hooping station. And I hate they cost $50, unfortunately, because they're, I worry about breaking them, and so far I haven't. But yes, I do use the uh, the backing holders. And Danielle, you said you thought that you need them. I use mine. I'm not gonna tell you you need them or not. For me, I do because I do use mine. And Carrie, I use the Mighty Who backers all the time. I love them. Oh, that's what Marina said. And Kara, I'm afraid I will get to remove it before putting it on my machine. I've done that many times. Trust is two things. Either it will be forgiven and you can use it, it doesn't cause a problem, or your machine will act a plum fool and you'll know it's on there. So I've been lucky. I haven't had any issues because 90% of the time my machine tells me I've left it on, especially for the 8 by 9. It ain't gonna do nothing but it's gonna make that crazy noise, and you say, "Oh, I forgot, take it off." So, yeah, I have forgotten to take it off several times, but so far, it has not caused me any major damage. Hi, Sean, how are you? Uh, You say you have so many files. I know I have. Picture me crafting. How are you? And what is to be young? What is that? To be young, gifted, and black. Okay. Hey, how are you? I ain't young, but I'm gifted and black. And Betty, how are you? You do for all of your hoops. So yes, it is definitely useful. Those backings are. And when I ordered my sleeve hoop for the holiday, um, I forgot to order the backing, and the lady that I ordered from through all the time, she forgot to mention it to me until after we had put the order in, and I said, "Don't worry about it, I'll get it." And I am going to get the backing because if you don't have a hooping station or several hooping stations like I do, where you can use various sizes and different things, then it's difficult to hoop without it. I bought the sleeve hoop because I wanted to do some sleeve designs on the stuff that I sent out and messed up, misspelled some name, but I didn't have the backing. So I had to get creative and I used some 505 spray and sprayed the stabilizer on the sleeve, and then I, maneuvered it in there and made sure that it was caught and everything and all of that. So it worked. But, it's a whole lot easier if you have the backing and you can just put it, use the back and stick it in there and move on. And I have to be honest about it. I did not think for 1 second I had a doggone hooping station, and it never dawned on me to use the hooping station. I have I don't remember what they call it, but it's the long skinny one that you can do onesies and stuff like that with. And I totally forgot. I'm looking at it right now. out of sight, out of mind. I know some people are lucky enough to have all their hooping stations set up. I don't. I wish I did, but I don't. So I have to put the ones that I don't use all the time, I have to put them up when I'm going to use them. The one that stays up all the time is the main one where I do my shirts and hoodies because I use those all the time. So that one is up. The rest of them I have to pull it out, put it up, and that kind of stuff. So that, like I said, out of sight, out of mind. And, but yes, that's good. Sean uh, did, and I put my shoe up. I'll pull it out. I didn't finish. I have not finished the tennis shoe project, and it was a lot of fun. I'm glad I did it. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna finish what I have, and the reason, and I think I just Sean, I wanted to change the fabric for the tongue of my shoe, so I decided not to go ahead and complete the shoe, but I'm going to complete the shoe. And I'm also going to order some more and make another one. So I'm already in the mix with that. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. Uh, I conquered my fear because when I first heard about making quilted sneakers, um, I think it was the Crafty Gemini was getting ready to have a program, and I thought about doing that class, but I changed my mind. I said, "Nah, I don't think I can handle that." And then when I saw that Sean was doing one, and Go Savvy Design by Sean, when she was doing hers, I hopped on board, and I'm glad that I did because I did enjoy. I did learn a lot. Thank you for sending out the instructions for those of us that did the tutorial, and so I'm going to move forward with that. And and Pearl, you said so the sizes can't a hooping station. I don't know that much about 'em. The hooping station, the size of the hoop that you put on there, like if you got the 8x9 or you got the 13 by what is it, the 8x13, and I got the 8x9, and then I got the other part where you put the 5x5 on. All of that can be done on your big hooping station. But then there's another station that you can, let's see if I can get it without tearing up the world. Okay, this one is a 4.25 by 13. You can do your sleeves, you can do towels, you can do your it's a lot of things that you can do with this, but I wouldn't recommend doing the left chest logos and the back and the jacket backs and shirt backs and all that kind of stuff. The wide one is going to work for that. But if you got something that is going to be kind of narrow or what have you, then this one works well. And this is the one that I would have used had I remembered that I had it and pulled it out. And it's heavy. So I don't pull out a lot. And then I got another one that goes with the 5x5 that came with the big hooping station kit that I got. And when I first started, because when I first got my 10 needle machine, I went straight to the hooping station and everything. I got all that stuff at one time because I did my little research and I knew I was going to want to use it. So I've, I've had I've been using the Hoop Master Hearted Embroidery, and I am so glad that I did. Because once I came out of a single needle machine and went to a multi needle machine, I went straight to the magnetic hoops, and I haven't looked back. I even found magnetic hoops for my SE 1900 because that hoop and those plastic hoops were killing me. So yeah. Um, so with the you're welcome, Pearl. I'm not suggesting that. Please don't think that I try because I'm not affiliated with anybody. So I don't talk about mighty hoops and hooping stations and all of those kinds of things to convince people to buy them, spend money. I just tell you what I use and why I use them and how it works because um, everybody has their own way of doing things and I like to do, I like to work smarter, not harder. And if I can find a way that is going to make what I do routinely a lot easier, then that's the way I go. That's the reason why I ended up getting the AccuQuilt. I was totally 100% against the AccuQuilt. Several people in my Zoom group had the AccuQuilts and all that stuff, and they were talking about it, and I just didn't see no sense in it, and they're expensive, and this, that, and the other. And then when I decided, we as a group decided we were going to do quilts, the very first quilt, and I did the project, and I didn't have the AccuQuilt, so of course everything had to be cut out by hand and your rotary cutter and a ruler, and that is where I do not excel at. I know that. That is one of my biggest flaws. I can't cut nothing straight. I don't care how hard I try, I put weights on, I do everything. I even, oh, I've gotten everything I could think of to cut things out straight and still didn't do it. And so that's what made me say, okay, give the AccuQuilt a try. And I did. So the quilt is on the wall back there, which I'm displaying. The other one I like, it came out really well, but I did have some issues because I didn't cut stuff out and I ran out of fabric because I messed up the fabric and they didn't send you no more fabric. I had to go buy fabric to try to match it and so forth and so on. But this one, I used the AccuQuilt, and it was a design, and they had a program, a tutorial rather, that kind of like a beginner AccuQuilt quilting tutorial, and I followed that. I think it was like 8 different lessons or whatever, and I followed it just like I did the one before for the first quilt that I did. But this one I did using the AccuQuilt and cutting out all of my pieces and stuff. And I was so happy that I bought it. I did not regret the money that it cost me and the dies that I bought, because I've even bought more dies, because at least for one thing, I'm cutting out my pieces correctly. They're on point. They're even. If it's supposed to be a 2-inch square, doggone it, it's a 2-inch square. It's not a 2-inch on one end and an inch and what 7/8 on the other, and just running crooked and all kind. Yeah, all of that craziness that was going on because I got the ruler on, and I even bought the what is it? What are these expensive rulers? This creative grid costs you an arm and a leg. I love this ruler. Glad I bought it, but I bought it for the quilt. It doesn't move as bad as my other one that I bought that a lot of people have. It's hanging on the wall because I rarely use it. I use this one all the time. It ain't cheap, but it still will move. You can put all kinds of things on it, which I have, weights and what have you, to keep it from moving. It's a lot better than the other ones that I was using, but it still moves. And there are, occasions where I got the little movement, and that affects your quarter-inch stitch correct. Found my quarter-inch press foot because we did we did those Christmas skirts, and we supposed to be doing quarter inches, and we're doing scant uh, quarter inch, and didn't even know that was even an exist a real thing. Found out, okay, what's a scant quarter inch? What's that? Well, we found that out. We were doing scants and not on purpose. But once I got that, it was funny because if you have the proper tools, If you have the proper tools, then you can do things correctly. Not to say you got to go out and buy every or equipment or tool that somebody suggests. But what I do say, do your research, and if you get the proper tools, you can do the work that you want to do a lot better. And that's what I found is, for me, it's worth the investment if I'm going to be able to do it correctly. And speaking of that, Carol, I wanted to let you know, because I remember a while back I was talking about the scan and cut rhinestone kit, and you had found one for me, and I didn't get it because I didn't like the price, and I didn't think it was worth. I didn't need it because I can still do it with my Cricut, which I've always done, and use the Cricut Design Space or whatever the heck it is. I can't remember. Or what? No, I was using the Silhouette Studio, so whatever. I can't remember because I haven't done it in a minute. But anyway, um, when I went to Florida, I did get a chance to go out one time. Because I didn't want to without going by the Tops sewing and vacuum store, because that's the company that I bought my 10 needle machine from when I lived in Florida. I bought it at a different store up in Tampa, but my son now lives close to Fort Myers and they have one there. I think this must be a Florida company, but I went there. I wanted to go there before I left because I wanted to check out the prices of their machines, because their machines are usually a lot less expensive than what they are, especially the East Coast, Northern East Coast. A whole lot different, a whole lot different. And so I was checking to see if they had a luminaire in there that was like, they didn't. But I have to tell you, I was pleasantly surprised, even though I can't afford and didn't get it, at what she was willing to sell the Avenir for. I was shocked. I was surprised. She had two prices. She had a cash or a credit, and it was a $2,000 different in what she would sell you was it a trade? I don't think it was a trade in because I didn't have a trade in. Um, and I didn't get it. Didn't have money, but just the mere fact, the app, 15K for the Avenir. Do you know how much that doggone Avenir costs everywhere else? The brand new Avenir. So anybody interested in that, you need to call Tops Sewing and Back in Florida. Now I don't know which one is going to sell for which, but I just know when I bought my PR 1055X down there, I paid way less money for the ones that people told me they were paying for what they bought up in the Maryland, Virginia area. It was like, you have got to be kidding. Now, I didn't pay that kind of money for mine. It's like, So that's why I wanted to check it out. But back to what I was going to say, when I went in there to check out the luminaire and all that kind of stuff, I saw that they had a rhinestone kit, and I took the box off, the regular box, and I haven't done anything with it, but I bought it. $70, bought it. So I got it. So I do have the rhinestone kit. Now I already knew it wasn't anything in this rhinestone kit that I needed other than the serial number, because it's got some flock in here. It got a brush. It got a little, it's just a bunch of junk that I don't really need. I ain't need none of that stuff because I got all of that. But I do need this is what I need. Just this one little thing here, because it has the serial number on it. Scan and cut, so it will unlock the rhinestone feature on the scanning cut so I can cut out flock on the scanning cut. And that's the reason why I wanted it, and mainly for the fact that the DX 325, I think all the DX, and I know the 325 and the 330, probably all of them, they have the pressure, the auto pressure. So it automatically will adjust the pressure that it needs to cut out the whatever it is that you're cutting out. And my biggest problem using my Cricut has been getting the pressure correct. And with that, it has always caused me issues with the flock and those doggone little bitty dots that get all over the place. And if they don't cut out correctly, then you're stuck pushing them through and scraping them off and all the kind of mess that just makes doing rhinestone a tedious job when it should be a very quick and simple and easy job. So that was my main reason why I wanted the rhinestone kit for my scanning cut, because I wanted to see if that was going to make a difference. But I didn't want to pay an arm and a leg just to get the doggone serial number. And brother doesn't make it. The thing that you have to do is find that still has some in sale. And when I went down there, they had them hanging on the wall. So I went on and got one. So now I have it. I haven't done anything with it because, like, I just recuperating. So I haven't done anything, but get one. So thank you for looking at me, Carol. And I wanted to let you know that I did go ahead and get it. So whenever I get it all situated and what have you, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know if it indeed is working the way I'm hoping it's going to work for me. And I saw Joyce join, and it looks like Leslie has joined. Who else has joined that I haven't spoken to? I don't see you, Leslie. I just see somebody saying hi. And Betty, hi. How are you? Thank you for joining. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Let me see. So Joyce, I see you say hi, Robin, Jenny, Leslie, Marina, Danielle, Becky, and Sean. I don't see Leslie. If she's on here, well. I don't see that well anyway. My vision. Another complaint. I am so disappointed. I had my cataract surgery. I'm just going to be honest about it. I am so disappointed. My vision has not turned out to be what I had hoped that it would be. I don't feel like I'm seeing better. I feel like I'm seeing worse than I did. The only benefit that I have gotten with my, and I guess it's to be expected because that's pretty much what was told to me. I can watch TV and drive without glasses. So that's the difference. My distance allegedly is better, but to me, I don't think it's that much better. And my night driving has not improved. And those were the things that I wanted. But what I sacrificed for the the ability to drive and watch TV without glasses is I can't see a doggone thing up close. That is very upsetting to me because I was so used to being able to read, look at my phone, do my embroidery and sewing and stuff without having to um, put on glasses or wear my glasses if I didn't want to. I did, but I had bifocals, so it wasn't like I needed to. I could literally read without glasses on. Now I can't read nothing without glasses on. So that's why you see them hanging around my neck because I'm steady putting them on, taking them off, putting them on, taking them off, which drives me crazy. So what does that mean? It means I'll be back eventually. I am going to go ahead and have to get glasses again, so I don't have to. And which is what they said, recommended. Said, well, here's a script, just get you some glasses. So I'll be wearing glasses again because that's the only way that I'm not going to have to keep going from these little cheap readers and then, no glasses readers, no glasses readers, what have you. And especially when I'm at work because I'm at a computer most of the day and um, whatever I'm doing in my office, if it's, distance away, I can do it. But then once I get on the computer, some of the things that I'm trying to read or do, I can't do. I have to put my glasses on. Or if I need to look at my phone or whatever, I have to put my glasses on. Because if I hold it back like that, like my son usually have to do, and I used to laugh at him. Now I have to do it. I got to have everything back so I can see. It's so funny. And I have to be honest about it. I think I would have been happier just leaving it the way it was. Um, Now I see Leslie. I didn't see you a while ago, but I see you now. So good. I just want to make sure that I did speak to you guys and wanted to let you all know on having the Zoom tomorrow night. Remember, I mentioned that we will do it at 8 instead of 7 because we did it once before and everybody seemed to like it. If that's not working for everybody, let me know. I think it will because, a lot of people didn't come at 8 anyway. So we're going to do it at 8 Eastern Standard Time. Those of us that are Central Time, that means it's 7 instead of 6. So that works out well for me because uh, it just works out well for me as well. So tomorrow night, 7 Eastern time, I mean 8 Eastern time, 7 Central time for tomorrow night. Let me see. It was something else that I wanted to tell you guys. Um, the rhinestone. Oh yeah, I told you about the Avenir. I was really surprised that that was the price that they were saying that they would sell the Avenir for, even though that's still out of my pocket. But can you imagine something that is $25,000 and you can get it for 15? Uh-huh. That's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. Um, so that's Tops Sewing and Vacuum, and they have several places in Florida. If anybody is in checking out whatever machine they may have down there and check their prices, you can text me. You can put a comment on my if you don't have my number or my email. If you have my email, just email me or text me if you have my number. If not, go on my channel and put it in a comment and say I'd like to have the number of the lady that you talked to in Florida at the sewing shop, and I'll give you that information because she gave me her card, and I'm going to reach out to her if and when I'm ready to buy another machine. But it won't be the Luminaire. I mean the Avenir. I was hoping that they would have a reasonably priced Luminaire, but she said they, unless it's a used one, they won't have one. So that's how that goes. And if and when I decide maybe I will probably be checking in on a used one somewhere and hopefully get a good one. If that's the case, I don't know. I'm kind of up in the air with all of that kind of stuff. I just want a flatbed with a bigger hoop. So if anybody has a suggestion, and I'm not sure that I want a Stella Air because a friend of mine that has a Stella Air, she was talking about having to take pictures and send it to the machine and stuff. That didn't sound like something that I really wanted to do. So if that's the case, that I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But if anybody has has a machine that is still out there that they're still selling. People got machines and all that kind of stuff, and they don't make them no more, so can't go get them. But if anybody can recommend a really nice um, embroidery combo, an embroidery machine that has a larger sewing field, because the SE 1900 is a wonderful machine. Love my machine, but it doesn't do anything larger than 5 by 7. And I definitely want to have it. I don't even want to say a 6 by 10. I would like to have something a little bit larger than a 6 by 10. To be honest about it. So let me know. Now, Marina, I know you love your Luminaire, because Luminaire is the bum. I've always been in love with the Luminaire when I first saw it, because I was torn between getting the Luminaire the same day that I bought my 10 needle machine, because I was literally at the uh, dealership, and they had the Luminaire on one side of the aisle and the 10 needle machine on the other side of the aisle, and I was standing in the middle of the aisle, and I had already looked at both machines, and I'm standing in the middle of the aisle looking at both, just kind of which one, because they were running about the same price, so it was affordable, and I loved them both, but I was this close to getting a Luminaire. I was this close. And I've been in wanting one and loving one ever since. And even with the Avenir, it's okay. I mean, I'm not like in love with the Avenir. The Avenir is a step up from the Luminaire, true, but it's not like if I could get a decent price Luminaire, I would be just as happy as if I could afford the Avenir. So it's not like I know I'm a tech junkie. I love bells and whistles. The more you can do, the happier I am. But the Luminaire does enough for me. I don't have to have the Avenir. It's a step up, true enough, but I don't have to have that. Um, if there's an affordable Luminaire. And Sharon, hey, how you doing? You say you love your Luminaire too. I almost bought another one when you were in Oklahoma. But girl, why would you buy another one when you got one? Just curious. And if you buy another one, just give me the old one you got. But anyway, yeah, that's a pretty good machine. That's my dream single needle machine. And at this particular moment, my dream multi needle machine is the Melco Summit. Oh, uh you already have two already. Well, you go, Garrett. What are you doing with so many um Luminaire single needle machine? I'm just curious. I'm trying to wrap my head around the benefit of having multi single needle machines. Um, None of my business, obviously. You must have a reason for it. But it's just, I can see people having um, multi needle machines, because usually people are doing big time businesses and making money, and they have to do a lot of production and what have you, and it certainly makes sense to have multiple multi needle machines, because I would be tempted to get another one if I had the space. It ain't no way in the world I could put one in here. I was even looking at the Bay Mirror that Sean, All Things Sean's has, and she loves hers. And I was looking at it, and because the price is phenomenal, and she said she likes it, but Like, good goodness gracious, lie. The doggone 10 needle is 100. Mine is like 100 pounds. Add another 150 pounds so that I couldn't move that thing to save my life. At least me and my husband can move this thing around if we need to get it out of here or whatever. But what in the world can you do with a 250-pound machine? I was like, that thing is heavy. I had no idea that it weighed that much. And I would assume the luminaire is probably the same. I don't know if it weighs that much, but not the luminaire. The Melco is the same or close to it. I haven't even looked that part up, what the weight of it is. But I don't have the room, so that's the reason why I haven't. I'm looking now and just wondering to myself if if I was to be blessed to get one, where in the world could I put it? I would definitely have to figure something out. Um, oh, okay, Sharon, you say you don't want multiple needle machines and you do a lot of shirts. Okay, that makes sense. Whatever works for you, I get it. The multiple needle machines aren't as difficult as a lot of people are, and I'm not saying that's you because I don't know. Everybody has their reason for anything, so please don't think I'm knocking you or anything like that. But I just want to throw it out. A lot of people tend to become very intimidated by the look of a multi needle machine and feel like it is so hard and they just feel like I can't do it. And I have to be honest with it's not. It really is not. Once you if you know the basics of embroidery, period, learning how to operate a multi-needle machine is not that difficult. Now, you do have to learn it. You have to learn the function of it. You have to learn the whole concept. But if you learn how to use your luminaire with all the stuff and the bells and the whistles that it does, you can learn the multi-needle machine. I the first thing I did on my 10 needle when I first got it was the cap. I put that puppy on and stitched it. It was not that hard. I watched the video before I did all my research before I got my machine. I knew how to set it up, thread it. I knew how to do everything for it before it came through my door, including how to do caps and stuff because I watched several videos. And so once I got it, I just jumped into it like that. And it's still a lot to learn on it because it does so much just like the Luminaire. But I know enough about it to do most of the things that I want to do. I want to learn more because even like I was telling you a few minutes ago about the pressure and everything, I just remember they have a function in there where it will look at the thickness of your fabric and adjust. I didn't even think about that, and I probably wouldn't have thought about that until I saw this young lady adjusting her pressure foot for her fabric with um, her Melco, but it was manual. It was manual. So there's stuff. And Marina, okay, okay, great. The prices sound like they're reasonable. That they cost a lot, and I also realize that there are other machines that are good machines that don't cost as much as the brother, like the Melco. The Melco, um, according to what Angelina Jasmina said the other day, you can get the Melco Summit for 17,000. That's not cheap, but there are people that are selling the new Brother 1060 for 20 plus. So what can I say? Not that I would pay that much for it, because I know I could get it for a lesser price, but you do have to shop around, find out who's going to give you the best deal on any of your machines that you decide to buy. Don't buy it from your local shop simply because it's the local shop and they promise to show you how to do this, that, and the other, and all of that. I bought mine from the shop in Tampa. I lived in Clearwater. I never went back to that shop to get any lessons. There was one that was closer to me, but they didn't do lessons there. So I never got any lessons that was part of my um, benefits. So I basically had to teach myself. Um, and that, excuse me, that happens a lot. So basically, what I'm saying is if you find a machine, if you live in Maryland, if you live in Pennsylvania, if you live in Texas, if you live in wherever, and you find a machine in Florida or somewhere else, don't be afraid to check it out and get that machine. Call them up, see what they can do for you. And oftentimes, because it's out of state, you don't have to pay those doggone taxes. So check it out. You may not be able to get, some of the benefits that come along with it, but if you can save you several $1,000s, now if it's only going to save you $1,000 or less, it may not be worth it because you're giving up the training and some of the other perks that they may offer you. But if you're going to save a significant amount of money by shopping out of state or further away, then do so. Call around, check it out, research, get online. Find out who sells this machine that you're interested in and see what they're charging. They're not going to tell you online, but if you call them up, they'll tell you. And they'll figure it out, and all of that kind of stuff because they want to sell their machine. And they want to sell the machine, so usually they're going to make a deal with you. Rarely, I think, does anybody not make a deal. If they don't make a deal, it's because you didn't ask for one. Ask Marina. I gave her a little. I gave her a little tip when she got ready to buy her luminaire, and it worked for her. So sometimes it just takes you asking for what you want, because all they can do is say yay or nay. And if they want that sale bad enough, they're going to come up with something that's going to please you. And if they don't, and you think you have options, walk away. Walk away. Take your other option, because you'd be surprised. Where one won't, the other one just might. And people have gotten some pretty decent deals with, because all of the different accessories and whatnots and stuff that with your machines don't necessarily come with the machine. Now they tell you their perks and all that kind of stuff. Well, the card is a $2,000 card, and the hat is $1,000 hat system, and the hoops is $500-600, and this, that, the other, and they keep telling you all these different things and how much they cost. But I'm gonna throw it in. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because you charged me $20,000. That's why you didn't throw it in. You're charging me for it. You're just telling me you're throwing it in. So you have to know that. Sharon, you said trying to get it in for service is a big concern for me on multiple. I would have to have someone help load and unload it. That part is true. You can't find someone that can come to your house. That part is true because I have taken my machine out twice. That's the one reason why I'm glad it only weighs 100 pounds, because uh, before I when before I found Justin that's in back east, I had to take the machine in. I took it in when I was in Florida. I took it in when I was in Maryland before I knew Justin, and Justin came to my house after I met him. Now that I'm in Missouri, I know a person that can do it, uh, that I'm planning on working with, and if all goes well, I'll be able to have someone come in and fix mine. So that part is going to be a huge plus for me. If not, thank goodness I'm in a position where there are people that I can get to help me get it in and out. Stand that part being issue, keeping your stuff serviced and maintained and all of that, especially if it's a big, huge machine. That's the reason why I was like, when I saw the Bay mirror, the Bay mirror, BAI, I believe, that All Things Sean is using and promoting. Well, she and says she likes. Several other people have bought them and seems to like them, and the price is pretty good for a 15 needle machine. And people tend to say it works well. It's less. Is I think it's less than the red line. The red line was inexpensive. I think it's less than the red line, and but 250 pounds. Oh my goodness, that right there is like it ain't going nowhere. You aren't coming in. I mean, you're gonna have to service it yourself. That's a concern for me with those kind of machines. Whereas with the Melco, you can get a technician to come in if they need to, but they can service your machine for most issues via the computer, especially with the Summit that does have the screen on it, so they can get in there and do whatever it is that they have to do and usually fix it. So Marina is telling what happened with her situation when she bought. Let me see if I can get it up. Come on, should go up now. I can't get it to show. There it is. There it is. And she said Shirley gave me the nerve to haggle. I got the salesman to throw in more extra plus a discount on the scan and cut 330D. If you don't ask, you'll never know the answer. That is true. I just told her, girl, ask, ask, and don't back down, because I think they wanted to give her the 325, and she asked for the 330, I believe, and of the owner or whoever threw it in. I don't even know if the husband knew about it, but she ended up with 330, so it worked out for her. But yeah, they wanted to give, if I remember the story correctly, they thread. And I was like, no, you can get a scan and cut out of this one. So she got some discounts and different stuff like that. But she asked, so that you never know until you ask them. They want to sell. And when I was down there in Florida, about like I got a trade in. What you gonna do if I do give you this trade in? And what's the best deal you can give me? We talked about a different machine, which I may end up getting. Not an embroidery. I was looking at a sewing machine. Because I'm going to sell my jazz too. It's a good machine, but I have to admit I'm spoiled. I want a computerized machine. This one is a manual. Manual's okay, but I've been using computerized machines for a long, long time, and I prefer the computerized machine. So it's a possibility. I'm still on the fence. Haven't made up my mind what I'm going to do. Take my time, do the research, count the coins, all that kind of stuff. But um, anyway, that's kind of how that goes. So Ladies, I will gotta go to work tomorrow. I'm a working woman. I have to go to work tomorrow, and so I'm gonna go ahead. Thank you guys for coming in. I know we picked up quite a bit after the first hour, and got a pretty good turnout. And Carol, you say you found your 1055 for 11,000 at a local quilt shop in 23, and it only had 600,000 stitches. Good deals are out there. They are, and 600,000 stitches, and they knocked that much money off. See, that was a good deal. And there are people that I'm pretty sure there's a luminaire out there that I'm looking for something under 10, because it should be um, actually a friend of mine I think got hers for 8, and that would be kind of where I want to be. Hers is used. I will take a used one if it's in the shape that I want it to be in, and I get it checked out. Um, the only downfall of getting a used brother, which is, I don't know if it's 100. I have not checked it out myself, but I have been informed that if you buy a used brother machine, it won't read your scanning cut because they don't let you register a machine that belonged to somebody else to your scanning cut, which makes absolutely no sense at all. And I would definitely have to have a conversation with brother, because if I have a scanning cut and I purchased a used machine, especially if I purchased it through a dealer, so you can see, even if I didn't, if somebody gave it to me, I still should be able to hook up my scanning cut to that machine. There should be a way. It does not make any sense. If they are supposed to be able to talk to each other, regardless to who owns it, change the registration. You own that machine now. And if you have to have some kind of proof of sales or something to prove that you own the machine, if that's what they want, so no scamming and stuff, I get that. But it needs to be a way that they allow you to hook up your scanning cut to um, your previously owned machine. It just doesn't make sense that they don't do that. And I was told that they don't. So unfortunately, um, that's unfortunate. I hate that that's the case. But yeah. And Marina, she got your 1055 from a YouTuber who was partnering with Ricoma. It only had 200,000 stitches for 10,000. She had posted the machine on Facebook. Oh, wow, that's cool. And Sharon, that was the reason I was thinking about getting a luminaire in Oklahoma. It was under 10. Gotcha. Makes sense. Makes sense. If you can save and get it, and that's where that's exactly to that particular store when I was in Florida, because I knew that they usually did pretty good on prices and stuff, and I wanted to see if indeed they had a either a new or a gently used luminaire, and if they did, what would be their sale price. But they didn't have one. So, and Marina, you said, then how does a brother dealer resell luminaires? Definitely check that out. Well, the person that bought the machine bought it from a dealer. That's the problem. It wasn't a brother dealer, it was a quilt shop, but she bought it from a store. She didn't buy it directly from the previous owner. It was a trade in, and she bought it from the store, and therefore it's a legit sale that could be proven. So why she wasn't able to hook her scanning cut up to it boggles my mind. I don't know, but it isn't right. If indeed that's the I know that's what I was told. So I would definitely have to check into that if I get lucky into a position where I can actually buy one because I do have my scan and cut, and I definitely wanted to talk. If I ended up with a luminaire, Avenir, or any whatever, I wanted to talk to each other. That's what it's supposed to do, and that's what I want. Oh, I didn't know you were on there, Andrea. I didn't call your name, but anyway, that she mentioned that she was at a brother dealer, and it doesn't, she called and told her no, so that don't make no sense. I'm gonna have to have a conversation with brother. We gonna have to work something out because that ain't right. Mm-mm. Nope. If I get a used one, they gonna have to figure out a way for me to hook my scan cut up with, or it's gonna be an issue. It's gonna it's gonna be an issue because it doesn't make any sense. Absolutely does not make any sense. And Kristen, you say you would love to have the baby lock Capella. I don't know that one. I'm not familiar. Is that a step below the Radiance? Because I know the Radiance is their Avenir. It came out just before the Avenir, right? I think it came out just before the Avenir, but I don't know the Capella. So is it on the same line with um what's that other one that brother came out when the Avenir came out and they had the I forgot about those. I haven't even looked into the price of those machines, and I can't even think of the name of them now. Anybody remember they came out with a sewing machine and a embroidery machine right around the same time they came out with the Avenir? Brother did, and I honestly cannot remember the name of them, and I don't even know what the prices are. And Marina, you said Baby Lock. No, Baby Lock does not talk to a Scan and Cut because Scan and Cut is strictly brother. And Marina said it's not good business practice in her book for what brothers allegedly doing with the Scan and Cut and Luminaire. And Andrea said the shocker was that the dealer act like she didn't know, and I wasn't the first to buy a used machine. She just didn't tell you, unfortunately. Seems like Celeste. Thank you, Jenny. I knew somebody knew the Celeste. Yeah, brother came out with two machines when it came out with the Avenir, and one is a sewing machine, and the other one is an embroidery machine, and it's the Celeste something other. They got different. They're both Celeste, but one of them is whatever. And you say it's way below. I don't even know what the feel, what the embroidery feel is, because might be an option if I can't get a luminaire, because yeah. Marina, you say you think they're pushing the Avenir hard. I do too, because I don't think a lot of people are buying them because they had them priced too high. I agree with that. I agree with that. But there's a lot of people that do have the Avenir. That is true. But the Avenir is kind of almost like, to me, like the 1060W or whatever, that new 10 needle machine that brother put out. I don't even see. This shop I went to had it in there, but she didn't even mention that machine to me. And I didn't mention it to her, which it didn't make sense for her to mention it to me since I told her I had the 10 needle. So it was like, why would you even try to get me to trade my 1055X for that 1060? That wouldn't make sense. And Carol is saying maybe, Andrea, that you need to get a new My Connection code from Brother if they will give that to you. And Andrea said, I can use it as long as I use the cord, just can't use it wireless. Okay. And Kristen, the Capella is a single needle, but is not a, oh, okay. It's a single needle, but not a flatbed. It's like, um, like the one Danielle, like you have. I can't remember the name of that. Marine, there isn't a big enough difference from the Luminaire, in my opinion. I agree. Not for the price, and not the fact that's the projector thing is a little bit bigger. It was kind of interesting when I went in there to the shop in Florida, and the lady was sitting there by the Avenir. So naturally, she's gonna. When I asked Luminaire, she instantly kind of poo-pooed that off. We don't have them. We ain't getting no new ones. If one comes as used, I wouldn't recommend you getting a used. Blah blah blah. All of that. Then she started promoting the Avenir. So her sales pitch was to show me the Avenir and what it does. And the main thing that she showed me that was supposed to stand out was the photo, the photo stitching that the Avenir can do, where put a picture in it and it'll stitch it out or something along that line. You can picture in wireless or USB, something like along that line, and it'll stitch it out. So she's trying to show me how that worked, and it was funny because it didn't really look that good. And I mentioned to her, not to be facetious or anything, but it just came up. I said, well, you can do that with Art Spira, which is true. I did it on my 10 needle machine. If you have the paid subscription to Art Spira, you can do the exact same thing as far as that photo is concerned. You can take a photo and send and put it on your 10 needle machine, and it will stitch it out. I know that for a fact because I did it and I got a video on it. I think I got a video. I know I did a video talking about Art Sphere, and I showed you guys the project that I did, stitched out on my 10 needle machine. There was a picture. So that was her. That was supposed to have been her selling point for the Avenir, and I was like, that ain't convinced me to get the Avenir doing that much, and so no big deal. I would still be very happy with a Luminaire. I don't need the Avenir. Kristen, I think it has an 8 by 12 sewing area. Brother has the same machine, but I'm not sure of the name. Yes, it's that. Oh gosh, I can't. If Danielle is still on here, she has one. Maybe she can pop in and tell you because I don't have one. Therefore, I don't remember the name. But it's the single needle big machine. I want to say it's a 680 Pro or something like that. The Brother 680 Pro. Does that sound right to anybody? Jenny, Robin, any of you guys that know all of that stuff? Because I can't remember the name of it. And it does have the 8 by 20 feel as well, which is a plus if you're going to move up like that. And it's a expensive machine, but again, it is a single needle machine. It's just not a flatbed machine. Now, there are other machines out there that are not Brother, like Janome has one that's a 7 needle or a 4 needle. I think they have a 4 and a 7 needle. And their prices are comparable to a brand new Brother single needle machine. I ain't trying to knock Brother because that's my boy there. But you also have to think about what are you getting and what are you paying for. And if you can get your uh, the updated alliance, what did you say? The pillow. If you can get the pillow for say 6,000, and you can get the Janome 4 needle or 7 needle for 6,000, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I don't know. 4 needle sounds better than one to me. 6 needle sounds better. 7 needles, all of that. It's an They're big machines and they're heavy. They're not as heavy as the 15 needles and the 16 needles and what have you. But um, just think about it. If you can get more needles, that's more work you can do, less changing of thread. You still have changed thread, but you can do 4 colors without having changed thread, which, trust and believe, I love that. Brother 680 is the 6 needle. Okay. So I don't know what that single needle is. Man, I don't know. I don't know. I cannot remember what it is because I don't have one. Never have had one, so I don't really. Come on, Google. Persona. Brother Persona PRS 1000. That's what it is. It is the Brother Persona single needle embroidery machine. And they are selling it, Moore's is selling it for like, what is it, 5,000, 6,000, 5,000, 499. Temporary price drop at $4,500. That's what they're selling it for. $4,500. Yeah. I know Janome has a machine. Brother doesn't have. Does brother have a 4 needle machine? I don't know about that. That doesn't sound right, but I don't know. Anyway, that's the name of it, Persona. Yeah. Well, I'm going to, Marina is saying good night. I'm going to say good night because, like I said, I got to go to work tomorrow. Thank you guys for stopping by. I do appreciate it. Thank you for hanging in there. I will see you guys tomorrow night that are part of the Zoom. And the rest of you people, I will see you next Tuesday. Thank you so much. Good night, everybody. Take care.